I'd back that all the way out to make that loose. So I'm actually going to take that out. You'll see why in a second. It's just a lot easier to have that out. So I'm going to take that out. I'm not going to take the whole piston. I'm just going to take the spring. So this is a spring slides up inside. That's the funny looking screw doodah that holds the spring in. So I'll take him out completely just to give us a bit more room. The tensioner actually has to go on first because it makes perfect sense now that you can't get the chain. The chain has to be on top of that, so that has to go on first. So with that tensioner fully removed now, that piston out, I can just put it up out of the way. Don't have to worry about it. Now I can put this on. So that's basically what I did, was I put all this on and went, yeah, that's great. Look at this. And then went to put that on and I went, ooh, that can't go over the top of the chain. So I'm going to do this again. I'll edit out most of my stuff up, but you're going to know about it anyway. Slide him up again. So I've just put that on the chain. Put the gear on the chain. I've put the chain over the top of here. Again, I'm just using a screwdriver. I'm not scratching on there. I'm just sort of just pushing it up. I can almost see that there. Just got it with my, couldn't see anything but my elbow then, but just got that up. Okay, so that's now in place. I haven't done anything about the timing. We're going to sort that out later, but it's just sitting there. You don't know anyway until you get the flywheel on. You can line up the timing marks. That tension is in the right spot this time, out of the way. I'm going to stick my little screwdriver in here so that I don't pull that all the way out. And I'll get this pulley in. So I'll just put that little pulley in here, line it flat. I'm going to slide it up. The best way to do it is to have my torch on my phone. So you can line up the pulley, which I will need. So I'll quickly do that because I'm filming on my phone. So I'll take my camera / torch and I'll be back. Alright, so I got that pulley in position. I'm just going to put this in. I just wanted to double check. There's a little washer there that goes on that bolt. Make sure that's on so that you don't damage the other side of the cylinder. If that's not there and you tighten it up, you'll actually be hitting the other side. So that's gone in now. That's just sort of wiggled in. Put your finger in there. You can reach the pulley. So just give it a spin. Make sure it's spinning nice and free. And then 10mm socket. Just nip that up nice and tight. We'll go through some of the torque settings and stuff later on, but really I don't use them too much. I definitely do on the head bolts, but everything else I've sort of got a feel for it. If you're not sure and you don't want to over tighten or you don't want to under tighten things, you can find the torque settings for everything and do it that way. Alright, I'm going to put the camera back in the stand. Alright, so that's in, pulley's in. We can spin that around nice and free. So this is one of the things I've done in the past. With a new chain, it's quite tight. You know, other videos guys go, oh, you just put this in, do that, it's done. Well, it's not that easy for me or for this, and I want to go through it with you. So I'll make sure that it's on this gear properly. Make sure it's on this gear properly at the top to give us, you know, the best chance of getting everything lined up. And then I slide this oil drive in. So what I find is when I put this oil drive in, it actually makes it really tight. So again, spin that oil drive freely and just make sure it's sitting down nice and flat before you put any tension or the chain or anything else on it. So I'll do that. Got the chain sitting up on it now, and okay, this is not too bad, but the hole here where your cam goes in, I've had it before when I've done this and I've put everything in how it sits without the tension tightened up. The chain was actually that tight that I couldn't get the cam in, and actually got to the point where I almost damaged it trying to get it in because it just wouldn't line up. The chain was stopping it from moving up far enough to do that. So this one actually looks pretty good, but it's right on. Like, it's, you know, you wouldn't want it to be any tighter. Maybe the chain that I got last time was tighter than normal, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide this cam in just to, we'll line it all up again later on. I'm just going to slide him in there. Just to get it right. Now I'm just going to test something that... Yep. So he's sitting in there now. I've got the bolts for that. I might just throw them in loosely. I've got my oil pump, oil drive in. Checking that the chain's straight and it's not angled, so that making sure that everything's sitting flat. Tensioner, when it comes down, it's lining up with the chain as well. So that's sitting there nice. That's all nice and flat. And the oil drive's there as well. So, alright. I've got them now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the little holders back on for them that we removed before. And then we'll look at putting the tensioner back in to, well, actually we won't do that yet. We'll get those covers back on so everything stays where it should. A couple bolts in here, and then we'll start with our putting the flywheel on, getting our timing, starting to line up the timing. Alright, so got the cover back on here that sits on top of the oil drive to hold that down. I've got this little locator on here. I've got the tensioner. The tensioner is still moving freely. The reason that I haven't tensioned that up yet is that when we do the timing, we have to turn the cam around. Basically have to sort of turn the chain around tooth by tooth until we get this in the right position. So it's a lot easier to do that without the tensioner fighting me. So I'll normally get that right, and then I'll put the tensioner on the sort of last thing. So we'll sit the flywheel back on. Make sure the keyway is in the right spot. Okay, and that's spinning nice and free. So get that in. We'll get that to top dead center on our marks up the top, which I'll show you in a second, and then we'll line up the cam. Alright, so now that we've got our cam chain sorted out, put in, we've got a gear up here, we've got a new chain on it, we're going to do our timing. So we need to get the mark with a T on it. See if we can do that. Lined up with this little mark here on the casing. So get that lined up. Okay, we'll come back and we'll double check that. But just for now, that's where that's going to go. I've made sure that the flywheel's down, the keyway is on, and that's all right. Now we go to this guy. Now, it might be easy if I show you on one that's not in there. So cam gear, you can see this little 0 marked on that. So when that is at top dead center, which it is now with a T at that mark, this 0 lines up with that mark there. You can see that just at the end of my finger there. There's a little groove in this casing. So we need to get that 0 lined up with that, keeping this at top dead. that will be the correct timing. Now, this is something clever that Honda did with their engines. I might have to put you back up in the rack. Hang on, give me a sec. Now, if you're worried about getting the cam in the wrong position, or the gear, Honda did this. So, and I think this is quite smart. If I can move my finger out of the way enough, there you go. So see that there, those holes line up for the bolts to go through. Now if we turn that 180, it's nowhere near, okay? It won't line up. So they've done it so that it will only go one way, so you can't get that wrong, which is good. It just takes one less thing we have to think about. So once I get that lined up, then I know that this can only go one way basically, and I can't get that 180 out. So what I do is I slide the chain back a little bit, or the gear back a bit, and then I take the chain off it, and then I spin the gear until I get that lined up, and then I put it back in the chain. Then I go back and I check this, and I come back and check this, and I'll run it around one tooth until I get it bang on. Then I'll put the cam in it, and then I'll check it all again, and then I'll check it another 4 or 5 times, because it's pretty important that is right. If it's slightly out, like one tooth out, you'll have a knocking sound. You're not going to get the most out of your engine. So I'll do that now, and then I can clean up all this stuff later on and put all my beautiful new gaskets and bits and pieces on and pretty up the engine. But we'll make sure first off that this is bang on. So I'm going to do it now basically. As I said, I'll just push that back and run the chain around, so I don't think you really need to see me do that. And then I'll just make sure that this stays at top dead center. I'll do that now, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like lined up. Alright, so we'll see if you can see this now. So there's the 0, if you can just see that. And there's that mark. The 0 and the mark. And then we've got our T. Our other mark lined up there. So sorry about the bad filming on this video and lighting, but I'm just trying to get you in to see everything. So that now is lined up. So as I said, I'm going to put the cam in, and then I'll check it again. Alright, so that is all lined up now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I had to put the torch on so that I could see this. It's sort of like late afternoon, so it's sort of that hard light. It's not dark. It's still light enough, so it's sort of, don't know if the camera's picking up the light as well as it should, but yeah, there's the 0 there is lined up with this mark, and our timing is lined up there as well. So that's all lined up now. So what I can do now that is lined up, and this shouldn't change the timing, but we'll double check as we'll put this tensioner back on. So we'll make sure, I spoke earlier but I'll start the video, the flat spot, so you can see the flat side of that. On there, make sure that is facing up, because that's what that goes down on. So make sure that's facing up. I can do this with one hand, maybe. Spring in there. Nope, no, I'm not going to be able to do that with one hand. The spring doesn't go in far enough. So put that on, and then I'm going to put that flathead screw thing on the back. But again, I just turned it then. Make sure that's facing up so that this can sit down on it and locate it. Sometimes you can undo this when you get it up, tighten that up a bit, and that will just stop that rotating while you play with it.